being a record digger slash record collector, the only thing better than finding one cool used record is finding two, or five, or 10, or 50, or 100. No amount of records is ever enough. This is a digging story, and I have a lot of them. And this one actually took place at a flea market, a local flea market here in town. It goes like this. There's this flea market that I used to frequent a lot, and it was a place where you could find all types of pop culture. Now, there's basically two different types of flea markets, in my opinion. You have the ones that sell all of the new household knick-knack type of crap, arts and crafts and stuff like that. And then you have those that are just like a yard sale, a rummage, used some of anything and everything. Those are the types of flea markets and swap meets that I like to frequent as much as possible. We have one here, and it takes place every weekend in the parking lot and parking area of a humongous drive-in theater. So during the day on Saturday and Sunday, it's a swap meet. And then during the week, I guess, it's a drive-in theater. Or is it? I'm not sure if they still show movies there or not, but it's definitely popping on the weekend. So anyway, one Saturday or Sunday, I don't recall, I'm walking through there, and I come across this couple. And of all the types of vendors that they have, my favorite type of vendor are the ones that sell a little bit of everything. They just got a whole bunch of stuff, and you never know what you're gonna find. I recently found out, actually it's been a while, that a lot of vendors at these flea markets actually go out and they buy storage lockers, and that's where they get a lot of their merchandise. Well, this was one of those vendors that had a little bit of everything. I still remember what the couple looked like. I'm not sure what the nationality. I think the guy. I'm not even gonna try. But I remember the woman was like completely covered. Like you didn't see one bit of skin. Her face was completely covered. Her entire body was completely covered. Her hands, she wore these thin black gloves. She wore this black mask type thing on her head or face or whatever, and she had these dark sunglasses. Just an observation. And I had shopped with them before because they used to frequent this particular flea market quite often. They would set up there. Well, this one Saturday in particular, I roll up on them and I see like 10 crates of records. Wow, 10 crates. That's a lot for any vendor at a flea market. And I remember as I was approaching the record crates, I saw this like one, I don't know, he must have been a teenager, 13, 14. I'm not sure how old he was, but he was holding the Easy-E, I think it was the We Want Easy 12-inch under his arm. He had just bought it from the guy. And I was just like, ah! I wanted to choke that dude. Like, I know you don't own a turntable. You just got it because you're probably going to use this cover as a poster or something and hang it on your wall. That's what I was thinking. And I had that particular record, but I don't think mine had a picture sleeve on it. Anyway, I get right into it. And one of the things that I noticed, like, immediately was that all of these records were, like, in alphabetical order. And I'm not saying it started with A and went from there. I just realized that everything was just like in order, and everything that was in these crates was either R&B music or rap music, which is all I could ever ask for. And I think the last and coolest thing about all of these records is they were 50 cents a piece. 50 cents a piece, which was mind blowing in itself. Now, this was the early 2000s, and it was right before I started selling on eBay. Now, I'll tell you right now, if I was an eBay seller at the time, I probably would have bought 90% of everything that I saw. But due to the fact that I wasn't, I only grabbed the stuff that I was interested in. This was one of the best like digs I ever had. And for everything, every artist that I found that was featured in there, it wasn't just one record or one single or one album. It was always like the bulk of that person's discography. So if there was one Tina Marie record, there was probably 8 or 9. If there was one Chub Rock or Run DMC, or Earth, Wind, and Fire record, there was probably a nice stack of them. So it wasn't just one record from one artist. It was just, most anywhere from half to probably 80-90% of that person's discography and the different releases that they have put out. I mean, this was a digger's dream. I would have made a crap load of money had I been on eBay at the time. So I just remember just finding all types of stuff in there. Just incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. And I was buying probably between 1 and 2 crates. I bought between 1 and 2 crates. And as I'm paying the guy, he says to me, "Come back next week. I'll have 10 different crates for you." I was like, "What? Really?" "Yeah." "All right. I'll see you next week." I go back a week later, and it's the same thing. It's 10 different crates, butter, everything. I'm grabbing stuff. "You got anything else?" "Yeah, come back next week. I'll have 10 different crates for you." "I'll see you next week." "No problem." I go back week number 3. The same thing. Same thing occurs. I'm making these long walks to my car because it was like forever in a day to get to where I actually parked and being inside where these guys were set up. Now, they did have a parking lot area, a big parking lot area that was closer to the vendors, but it was like long lines of cars to get in there like every weekend. I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to deal with, taking forever to get in there and then taking forever to get back out because there was long lines going in both directions. So I used to park across the street from the actual property that the flea market was sitting on, and maybe a half block down. So it was a pretty long walk to be walking with a big crate of records, or if I bought more than one crate, then I'd have to make more than one trip. But I would say like 5 weeks in a row I was going out there and just scoring just the coolest stuff. And I'm heavy in the club still, and I'm doing opening for concerts and all kinds of stuff. So this stuff really came in handy, and I took advantage of the situation. Week number 6, I go out there and I don't see them there. They're not set up in the area that they're usually set up in. I walk all over the flea market. I can't find them. Ugh. Oh, that sucks. So I come back the week after that. Nothing. I don't see him anywhere, nowhere to be found. I come back the week after that, and I still don't find them. And I'm thinking, well, maybe, I guess that's it. I mean, maybe they just stopped selling. I don't know. But it was, it was kind of depressing, you know, knowing that that was it, because I'm sure they had more records. So I didn't go back around there for like some weeks, you know, maybe another 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then one day I get this idea. I go, you know what? Maybe I'll go to this other flea market that they have there in town and see if maybe they're selling at that one. So I go down to this other place, and sure enough, I find them down there. And I asked the guy, hey, man, what happened? You know, you used to be over at the other spot. And he's just said, hey, we had some trouble with the, you know, the people who run the whole event. I guess they bumped heads or something. So we stopped setting up over there. All right, whatever. You got any more records? What's up? You know what I mean? And he says to me that they had a lot more records and they had left them on their front porch, which I am assuming they had an older house, because you don't see a lot of houses with quote-unquote front porches on them here in Phoenix, Arizona. Not anything remotely new. So I'm just assuming. I have no idea where they were living. And he said we left them on the porch and it rained that night. And all of them were ruined. And we had to just toss them all. Everything that we had left, we had to toss. Oh, how heartbreaking. You're talking about a city that barely gets any rain in a whole year. In a whole year. Most cities, like, I'm from the Midwest, and it can rain, like, there one day, and then that one day it'll rain more than it'll rain in Phoenix in a whole year. So, of all of the times for it to rain, it rained, and all of these records got ruined. So, the fantasy had ended at that time. But when I think about the records that I picked up and the sheer volume of them, and a couple that really stick out to me, because I was finding, you know, doubles, I was finding, you know, promo copies, and just stuff you just didn't see a lot. One of them that really come to mind that I found there is this promo copy of Digital Underground, Freaks of the Industry, on red vinyl. This was really cool. Like, this is one of the, I think I found this one on maybe my first trip, but I'm not completely sure. And then another one that I always think about when I think about that dig is this promo copy of the Mary Jane Girls, All Night Long, and it's actually autographed by all of the members. And this one, who is that? Maxie? What does that say? Maui? Maxie? What? Cherry. Whatever her name is, I don't know. She actually kissed it and got her lipstick on there, which is pretty cool. But look, all of those, this was autographed completely when I bought it. So this was, I always think of these two records, or whenever I pull these two records out, I always think about that incredible dig that I had there. And like a lot of the records that I found had Bear on it. See right here? Bear. Some of them said DJ Bear. And then on this Mary Jane Girls one, it's even autographed to Bear, to Bear, to Bear, Bear. Everything's autographed to Bear. And there's one. There's another one. There's one down there. And I never found out who this DJ Bear was and how his records ended up at the flea market. So I don't know anybody who lives here who's ever heard of a DJ Bear, but apparently this collection was his. So maybe one day I will find out who DJ Bear was, and we can chop it up, and I can maybe find out about how his records ended up at the flea market. I think that would be a real interesting conversation. I've had a lot of scores with records, and a lot of those scores have been at the flea market slash swap meet. And I'll be telling you about some more of those type of stories as time goes on. But that's one of my best digging stories that I've ever had. It was at the flea market. We just call it the drive-in flea market since it sits on the property of a drive-in movie property. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So to the record diggers, share some of your best digging stories down in the comments. All right, till next time, this is Daryl D signing off. Peace and love.